Adela, Rob, thank you for joining us. I can't imagine having a better panel than you two here to talk about the investment community groups you have put together that have Latinos supporting Latinos after that great fireside chat between Gary and Martin. So thank you for joining us, guys.
Our pleasure.
Yep, thank you.
Adela, I'm going to start with you. You know, as a founder of an angel investment community focused on Latino startups, you know, what inspired you to create a community specifically for this demographic, and what unique challenges do Latino investors and startups face?
Yeah, thanks for that question, and thanks for inviting us here today. We had been struggling in Chicago with the fact that Latinos were overlooked. Mm-hmm. So in the business community, even those who succeeded were often not recognized, not included, not a part of the conversation at the major events. And so we started to hold events in support of, in recognition of C-suiters that, you know, came from other towns, didn't matter. We would have a celebration and invite the whole business community. It turned out mostly only Latinos came. And that was the genesis of how do we go one step further? How do we invest more directly in our community? And you know, the angel investing concept came up and it took off. First meeting was February of 2020. 40 people showed up. Around 40 invested in some of those ideas, and we've never looked back. We have over 400 members now.
And not only in Chicago, but...
No, we're national.
You're national.
And the companies are national.
Woo!
Yep.
Rob, you are absolutely everywhere on social media, especially with your networking and investment group. Can you share the story behind the founding of GRID, the GRID Investing Network?
Sure. Well, GRID is a real estate investment network that's powered by real estate agents. And years ago, 17 years ago actually, when I was just starting out, I wanted community. I wanted to talk about something that I absolutely loved, which was wealth building and financial freedom. But there wasn't a room to have that conversation. So I decided to create the room. My first meeting had 4 people, and then the next one had 40 people, and then it grew to 100 people. And before I knew it, you know, we were just collaborating, talking about the thing that we wanted to talk about, which was how to create financial independence for our families through real estate investing.
So, staying with you, Rob, you mentioned at the middle of your GRID network are the realtors. And obviously that's who we have in the audience here today. What benefit do they get from being a part of that network?
Well, you know, the person that organizes the party gets the attention, right? And so this is a game of intention, right? Attention. And every month there's a meeting around a topic, around real estate investing. And we aggregate some of the best and brightest in the market, and we just talk about it. And when you are the center of that conversation, opportunity comes your way, financial investment comes your way, listings come your way, buyers come your way, collaboration comes your way. You know, Gary talks about, you know, the power of collaboration. Like, that's what a room like that does, is connects people, and it helps people collaborate. Like, people in that room, I've seen people in our room start with 0 experience. And 5 years later, they're buying 50, 60, 70 houses a year. I mean, it's life-changing. You know, I always say you're just one relationship away from changing your life. And that's what this room does. Like, it gathers people, real estate entrepreneurs like us, to do that.
Yeah, and that's because of the support of the community,
yeah.
Right?
And today, that community is 30,000 people around the country. It's like, it's not a small community. It's led by passionate people like you at the local level, building bridges and connections.
So,
Wow.
Adela, we're talking about community, we're talking about networking, but within the Latino community, I mean, how do you see these investment opportunities and resources for Angeles investors? You know, how are you supporting the community, the Latino community, and these startups?
Well, there's many ways to support, and I just want to follow on to what Martin Cabrera said about bringing the dollar home to the Latino community. And what Angeles Investors does is it provides the first dollar for that first idea enterprise. And by the way, we're the most enterprising ethnic group in America right now.
That's right.
And employment growth is due to what? To Latinas starting companies. So Yeah, that's a fact. And what I recognize that our members want to do, in addition to the investing, in addition to the return they hope to get, they want to help accelerate the success of that Latino company.
That's right.
So that, if they have an expertise in finance, in law, in whatever it is, and there's a fit with that startup, they can get in and try to help. And it's just the impact that this has, because entrepreneurs have it very, very tough. So on the other hand, we're also trying to educate the investor. I mean, whenever have we been brought in to invest in early stage venture capital? No, that's for the ultra rich and ultra connected. By definition, that excludes us and has excluded us. But we're changing that.
That's right.
Because in an economy where the fastest growing ethnic group is Latino, the fastest growing companies are going to be Latino. And guess who's going to have first access? We're going to have first access. So that's the goal.
Yeah, and what I love about Angeles, like you said, it's not just about the money, right? It's the community, supporting the community so that there's more added value beyond just that first dollar, like you mentioned. That's terrific. Can you just briefly talk a little bit about what angel investing is for those in our audience?
So generally, you buy stocks in companies that are established. They're so established that they've already gone public, and you can buy their securities, and they're in your IRA, or they're in your 401k, or they're in your savings with a broker, with a wealth advisor. But angel investing is usually privately investing in a company. And typically, the investment has to be a little bit larger. We recognize that. That's why Angeles Investors was created. We put our $5,000, $10,000 together, and we make that investment of a couple of $100,000 into that startup. Because it's early stage, a lot of people will look to invest. No one's trying to be the winner and be the only investor behind a startup. There's a lot of sharing because there's a lot of risk. Right. But if you have a diversified portfolio, you have a good chance. All you need to be a successful venture capitalist is one big success story. Typically, that will return 40, 50, 100 times your dollar. So if you put 10,000, could be $1 million back.
Yeah, well, that's that unicorn we're all looking for, right?
Yep, that's what they call the unicorn, and we got a couple of those in the portfolio.
That's
right.
I'm
very excited.
Yep, and just so you know, I am also an angel member.
Thank you.
Angeles member. For 3 years now, invested in 7 companies, some doing well, some not, but that's how it works. But the fact that we invest as a group, like you said, diversifies the risk and minimizes what that investment, but still allows you for that terrific upside. So it's a great community to be a part of. But talking about community still some more, how can you help us learn what you've learned in building that community? What are some of the tips you can share with people about building communities for investment purposes?
Well, again, I've heard a lot here on various stages about wealth and wealth creation. But what I find in the Latino community is that we are beyond, we want that, but we want the sense of community. Even those of us who have been very successful also share a sense of alienation, right? We're the only ones in the room. I'm the only woman. I'm definitely the only Latina. And there's a great feeling to being together with a lot of other onlys and record-breaking people. And that we feel that interaction creates tremendous stimulation for success, and that's why Angeles has many, many events throughout the country. I can't keep up sometimes. I can't make them all. I'm the chair. But we have, a large board and many founding members. It's not the kind of thing you can do by yourself. Yeah. Let me repeat, it's a risky part of the investment cycle, and so you have to be careful with it, and you want to spread it around. You want your friends to chip in as well.
Yeah, for sure. So Adela mentioned collaboration and working together, which I think defines GRID very, very well. I mean, can you talk to us about how you foster that type of culture within the GRID network?
Yeah, this all comes down to community, I agree. Everybody wants community. And they want community through education. They want community through collaboration, through deal making together. So what I love about our real estate investment network is that, the landlord needs the property manager, right? The property manager needs the accountant. The wholesaler needs the rehabber. Like, we all need each other. Nobody succeeds alone. Nobody, right? You heard Gary talk about that. So part of fostering a great community is lifting other people up. Like, one of the things that we do is we pour into the agent so that the agent can then pour into the community and lift the community up, right? That's how it starts. And so whether it's angel investing or investing in real estate projects, it all starts with just education and then seeing other people like you doing it. And then you say to yourself, if she could do it, I can too. Right. If he could do it, I can too, right? So it becomes our personal responsibility to be the leaders, to be the educators, and to help other people succeed. One of the philosophies, anybody read the Go-Giver book in here, by the way? Like, it's a great book. It's all about leading with giving, and then the rest takes care of itself.
So, it sounds great. Talk to us about some success stories, not only investor success stories, but I'd love to hear a success story of a grid lead network, a leader, within one of their communities.
Sure. Okay, so we launched a community in Knoxville, Tennessee, right? That leader, before there were individual agents doing maybe $10 million in volume, right? They're on their way to doing over $100 million in volume for the year.
From 10 to 100.
From 10 to 100.
All right, that's pretty good, right?
10 to 100. Now, but more importantly, right, like that's their team. But more importantly, they're buying assets, so they're helping their families build financial independence, and they're helping their clients do the same. Like, at the end of the day, if we're not careful, we're stuck on a transaction treadmill. And it becomes really awareness that you need to say, I need to get off this transaction treadmill. And the only way to do it is by investing. The only way to do it is by buying assets that pay you back, so that hopefully one day that income, that highly leveraged income, pays for your life expenses, right? So I'm seeing them do that, and they're well on their way. Individuals successful, like I remember this one young lady by the name of Yukiko that came in, barely speaks any English. 10 years later, she's buying hotels, right?
Wow.
She is literally.
You got Adela still.
I know. She's buying hotels, right? But it started with one.
Yeah.
It just always starts with one. And once you understand the pattern of doing one, you can start scaling that.
And Rob, real quickly, how are you supporting these community leaders, which are agents? Let's be clear about that, right? These community leaders are always realtors, right? So how are you supporting them?
First, there's a certification process. We call it getting Grid AI certified. We want them to understand how to build businesses. We want them to understand how to personally build financial independence to themselves. I mean, how could you ever take somebody on a journey if you haven't gone on the journey yourself, right? So we show them how to do that. And then we give them the resources and the tools and the training and the mentorship to build their business to whatever capacity they want to, so that they can then in turn just help somebody else do it, right? And we do that on a monthly basis through education and calls and Zooms and all the rest.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Adela, Angeles focuses on Latino startups. So like we talked about, not only the first dollar, but even after that, and how important that is for our community. Can you share a success story of how Angeles Investors highlights the importance of community in achieving investment goals?
Okay, we have several and many, but I'm going to talk about Canela Media.
Yes, of course.
Because it was the first one.
Anyone heard of Canela?
If not,
yes.
Yeah, it's Canela Media, Canela Music. There's Canela Kids as well, so you can download it on your app. So this young woman wrote to me in January of 2020, and she said, she has read an article where I said, we're going to find the next Google en Español. Uh-huh. And she said, I'm the next Google en Español. You need to talk to me. And we started to talk and kept talking for months, because some of it involves coaching, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you need a data room. Are people to do due diligence we're going to need a data room. Oh, what's that? Okay, well, you can check here. Here's an example. Look at her deck. All kinds of things to get her ready. And then the group, they like things that are a little bit, it's more than a concept. So her app was launched, and there were a lot of hits to the app. And I said, this is when we need it. And we went out. I coached and worked with her. She raised $3 million the first time in October of 2020 at a $10 million valuation.
Wow.
And that was a long time ago. There's been raises since then. There are over 200 employees. Revenue is in the, it's private company, so we don't like all their information
Amazing.
out there. But it's a lot, hundreds of thousands of revenue. And, one of our members became the chief financial officer.
That's right.
And as we tell other startups, we want to see your quarterly updates. But Canela's ahead. They do a monthly update. Our investors know every month who they're calling on, who they need to call upon, what kind of positions they need, and that way we can help them. Because the model we bring, unlike a standard venture capital angel group, we leverage that group of 400 to give guidance and to provide the opening of doors, access, because our community needs access. And these are ways that we can help her get to where she's going faster, giving her the full advantage that others have, but our community generally doesn't. I mean, she was rejected so many times, and she's very loyal to Angeles investors for having stuck with her throughout.
That's terrific. And as far as individuals here in the audience that are interested in becoming angel investors, as I mentioned, I became an Angeles member 3 years ago and have invested in a couple companies. But the only reason I was able to was because of the diverse membership that you had. So you had people that were in private equity or that were in tech. And so can you talk about how important that is to have diversity within the community so that some people that are new to angel investing it's easier for them to invest,
well,
right?
First of all, it's easier for you to ask questions, right? Because you say, oh, Adela knows so much about this, I don't want to ask her, I'm embarrassed. But there's a large group, there are people at different levels of investing. And the other thing is, when you have a diverse population as your membership group, you can invest in diverse industries because you're going to have an expert right there in the group. So the Angeles invests broadly. They invest in consumer goods, just like they do in technology. The fund that we started last year is more technology focused, but again, leveraging the expertise of our members.
Yeah. Rob, can you talk a little bit about the diversity and how important diversity is in the community?
I mean, it's everything, right? It's everything. One of the things we're really proud of, we actually have one of our grid leaders here, is we set up GridWin, which is the Grid Women Investment Network. And we find that there's segmentation that could happen within a community that creates just more deeper, richer conversations. And so it's about not only Latino diversity, but women empowerment and education, just helping other people understand like how to play the game and win the game. Like what I love that you're saying is that there's so much education that happens just by being in the room and listening and asking questions. And it's the same thing for us, right? When you can see somebody like you in that room and they empower you to be able to ask a question and to foster this community of safety, right? Like safety has to be important in that community. Then that's when true empowerment happens for the person because they feel like it's okay to learn. Because many times people, honestly, like in the world of investing, they sometimes feel like that's for others, it's not for me.
Yes.
And we need to break that barrier. And it happens through diversity, right? And it happens through education.
So,
Absolutely.
real quickly, can you tell us how can someone apply or become part of the Grid Network?
What I would just say go to gridaicertification.com, or they could go on Facebook. We have a free Facebook group that kind of starts the conversation there, and it's just the Grid Investor Network.
Perfect.
Facebook group.
Adela?
AngelesInvestors.com altogether, and I'm accessible on LinkedIn, and we hope that you'll join us on this ride. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. Thank you, Rob. Adela, thank you very much for your time
Thank you.
today. Thank you.